Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today to hear about the City of Saskatoon's Shared Electric Scooter Program. My name is Shaliza Keltz, and I am a Senior Transportation Engineer with the City. Today, I will be reviewing the background for the Pilot Shared Electric Scooter or e-scooter program, presenting some challenges to consider, reviewing some regulatory framework examples, sharing the list of items we would like input on, and finally, looking at the project's timeline. This project was identified as a future project in Saskatoon's Transportation Master Plan, which is a City Council priority in the new strategic plan for 2022 to 2025. The city is working toward an improved transportation and active transportation network that is comprehensive, equitable, and integrated to promote all modes of travel in a safe and efficient manner. E-scooters have many benefits and can contribute to active transportation by encouraging people to walk, bike, and take transit more often, and providing additional transportation for shorter trips. E-scooters can also improve physical health by providing transportation, recreation, and leisure options that promote physical activity. Here's an image of the type of device we are talking about. This is a standing e-scooter. This device is defined as having a center column and a floorboard. There is no seat, no operable pedals, and it is not self-balancing. In Saskatchewan, e-scooters are not currently allowed within the public right-of-way under current Saskatchewan legislation as outlined in the Traffic Safety Act. E-scooters are considered a non-compliant vehicle which prohibits them from public roadways. There are also no city bylaws allowing the use of these vehicles on sidewalks, pathways, and bike lanes. SGI is currently reviewing and considering changing the Traffic Safety Act to allow e-scooters on public roadways. The purpose of this project is to create the regulatory framework necessary to facilitate a pilot shared e-scooter program. In April of 2021, City Council approved administration's work on this project. In December of 2021, City Council approved the funding to develop the framework. The current goal is to have a pilot running in the summer of 2023. Some of the highlights of what defines a shared electric scooter program are: a private company provides a fleet of e-scooters. Residents and visitors unlock parked e-scooters using a mobile app. E-scooter riders are charged a fee for the ride through the app. At the end of the ride, the rider parks the e-scooter. They don't have to bring it back to where they first found it. I want to pause here just to highlight that this project is only focused on public or shared e-scooters. We will not be considering private or personal e-scooters. Again, SGI is currently reviewing and considering changing the Traffic Safety Act. At this point, it is unclear if they do decide to make changes, if they will impose this change on both public and private e-scooters. If the change is imposed on private e-scooters, the city will have some further work to do around the use of e-scooters within the public right-of-way. There are several challenges to consider when planning the regulatory framework for this pilot program. Some examples include experience level of rider, where to park the e-scooter, sidewalk riding, and overall safety considerations. Some potential solutions and considerations for these challenges are: is education of the e-scooter rider important? Perhaps there is a basic educational component required prior to allowing a new e-scooter rider. Should the city outline specific parking locations? Does the regulatory framework include restrictions to where an e-scooter can be parked? For sidewalk riding, should it be based on sidewalk widths? Do we allow it at all? For safety considerations, geofencing and speed restrictions can force the e-scooter to automatically decelerate or completely shut off in defined areas. Geofencing can also be used to restrict parking or ending a trip in a certain area. Educating the e-scooter rider is a key component to mitigating injuries. Across North America, there has been a growing trend in popularity of the use of e-scooters. On this slide is a list of the various municipalities in BC, Alberta, and Ontario with shared e-scooter programs or ones that are gearing up to launch the program. In March of 2022, Manitoba introduced changes to their Traffic Safety Act to allow pilot testing for these devices. Now we'll walk us through two regulatory framework examples to get us thinking about what this program could look like in Saskatoon. Here's what Calgary's regulatory framework looks like. They allow e-scooters to ride on sidewalks, bike lanes, and pathways. The operational areas are determined by the e-scooter vendors. As of 2021, they allow riding on roadways with no lane markings. The minimum age to ride is 18. Operating speed is 20 kilometers per hour. Helmets are encouraged, and there is only one person per device. This is what Ottawa's regulatory framework looks like. They allow e-scooters to ride on multi-use pathways and cycling facilities. They allow riding on roads with a speed limit of 50 kilometers per hour or lower. Not permitted on sidewalks unless allowed by an official sign. The minimum age to ride is 16. Operating speed is 20 kilometers per hour. Allowed to be ridden daily from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. For riders under 18, a helmet is required, and there is only one person per device. Now you have some information on what a shared electric scooter program is and what some other Canadian cities have implemented in their regulatory framework. Now we need your help determining what Saskatoon's regulatory framework should include. Here are some specific items we want your input on. These include: where do we allow e-scooters to ride, if at all? We need to consider our various facility types, such as sidewalks, multi-use pathways, cycle tracks, protected bicycle lanes, bikeways, and streets. We need to consider where in the city they can ride. Downtown, bid areas, U of S campus, health sites, Meewasin, parks. What age limit, operating speed, hours of operation should our program have? Do we encourage or require helmets? Do we restrict where these devices can be parked? And anything else you would like us to consider? Phase 1's public engagement has already begun. We started by reaching out to specific stakeholders. Now we want to hear from you. On the saskatoon.ca Engage e-scooter website, you'll find a link to some background information. This information includes summaries of Ottawa and Calgary's regulatory framework, Saskatoon's bicycle bylaw, and what exists for regulations around seated scooters and electric bikes. There's a link to our cycling map, which has a map of the various cycling facilities around the city, so where the multi-use pathways, cycle tracks, and protected bike lanes are located. We want your feedback, thoughts, and ideas. If you submit a proposed requirement for the regulatory framework, please consider telling us what factors you considered to arrive at your proposed requirement. Please submit your feedback by June 15th. Once we have gathered all stakeholder and public input, we will produce a draft regulatory framework. Our Phase 2 public engagement will include sharing the draft regulatory framework with our stakeholders and the public. We plan to share this with the public through the saskatoon.ca Engage e-scooter website and holding a public event. We are aiming to have this ready to share by the fall. Finally, we will present the regulatory framework to the Standing Policy Committee on Transportation, and we're hoping to do this in the winter. There are several ways to reach the project team. You can find us on the saskatoon.ca/engage e-scooter website. Here you can participate in a forum discussion with other residents. There's also a subscription option on the Engage page for project updates by email. Or you can send an email to escooter, all one word, @saskatoon.ca. Thank you for your time.